Good afternoon. How are you today? It's beautiful out. I guess it's 60-something degrees. Very slight, almost warm, balmy wind. So it feels. Today's the day of the talking heads, and I had to do some work. I have a deposition tomorrow. So I've been looking at some documents to prepare for that. That still said, what pierced through my labors was the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, showing that if you want to find a real man, go find a real woman. I mean, she didn't mince words. She said that Trump wasn't man enough to appear before the House January 6th committee. Good for her. So that's what we need, more trash-talking Democrats who know how to punch somebody in the nose, metaphorically speaking, in a way that matters, in a way that sends a message, in a way that calls out, in this case, the cowardly, phony Trump. He is the biggest coward. You know, he always has other people running interference for him. Now, if you want to know what a real man is like, there's a wrestler in Wyoming, Kendall Cummings. And what Kendall did was a teammate of his from the wrestling team, they were out in the mountain, and a grizzly bear came upon him and was attacking his friend and teammate. And so he first threw rocks and things like that, and that wasn't very effective. And then get this, he attacked the bear, and that freed his friend, and then he ran. Now, bears are not slow. Anybody who's ever taken a few minutes to consider the subject knows that they're not slow. And so what he had to do to avoid being mauled was to pretend to be asleep, and he curled up and he lay on the ground. Now that's a second step of courage. The first was he decided to take on a grizzly and not just throw things. The second was that he took the advice that any one of us instinctively would say, no, that can't be right. Boy, that's really risky. What could possibly go wrong? And so they both went to the hospital. They're going to be okay. And they asked Cummings about when he was going to wrestle. And he said, well, I should be okay by the end of the year. That's classy. You'd never find Trump actually doing anything like that. And the truth is, very few of us might think instinctively to do that, especially the latter part. You know, Schopenhauer had this thing, if somebody is in trouble, it's a complete stranger, and this kid was not a stranger to him, but a complete stranger, the humanity that connects the two of you is so strong that you will reach and risk yourself to help a stranger, because there's a feeling of those who talk about it afterwards that they couldn't go on if they didn't do everything they could to save that other person. That's impressive. Schopenhauer wrote about that. Good guy. I think it's not entirely humorous, but it is certainly ironic that the CDC director has COVID. After everybody's telling us the pandemic is over, people still be getting it. So how do you define a pandemic? Is it the number of people, the percentage people per thousand? I don't know how they do it, but it's still with us. Cheney was terrific on the air today. She said she's going to do everything she can so that Trump is never president again. I can support that. The other thing she said is that Trump's desire to come and be live and talk that way, well, she didn't say that's going to happen over my dead body, but she said that the committee doesn't want to have food fights. And what they're concerned about is having vigor and discipline at the same time. So he's going to have to decide to actually respect the body that is speaking to him. Now, demeanor, respect, words alien to Trump, who's a bottom feeder, but there it is. I think that's pretty interesting. In the category of dictators, Putin, to the head of China, congratulated him on his eternal reign over China. That's really something. You know, you may remember that Trump thought it was terrific that the head of China could be President à vie, President for life. Excuse me, I don't know Chinese enough to say it, nor do I know Spanish enough to say what I just did. The United States is, according to some reports, economically on the rebound. Isn't that terrific? And it was a pretty terrible week for Trump, between Bannon and his Trump's depositions, and people getting acquitted, and so the thing is, we just can't get enough of pounding this guy into the ground. And you may be relieved, although it doesn't apply to us much. Poor Boris Johnson, he's withdrawing from the race to be Prime Minister. What a mess they have over there. So that's what I got. It's an interesting day. I'm looking forward to tomorrow because, I like to ask questions. And tomorrow that's what I get to do. So all the best to all of you. If you haven't voted, do. If you know somebody that you think needs to be nudged, do nudge. And we'll go on from there. All the best. And here I am in my cathedral of trees on a very nice day. All the best. Bye-bye.